I really have always been a rule breaker. You know, I joined the boys golf team in high school. I had never golfed a day in my life, but I was upset that there was no girls golf team. So I joined the boys golf team just out of spite. So I think that like rule breaker, asking why, like really getting to the heart of, is this really how it has to be, is at the cornerstone of my values. And so that courage from Athena and a lot of the core tenets of Athena across the board really resonate with me personally in how I like live my life. I'm constantly pushing myself for what is the next thing. That sounds self-serving, but it really is all in the grander scheme of how can I make life better for my family, for my colleagues, for my own personal joy. We know so little, we have so much to learn about all aspects of life, and so it's a really cool thing to be able to just absorb little nuggets constantly and have that constant learning kind of mindset. It is wildly important to me to create a culture where people feel invited to work together, both internally and externally. So not only is it critically important to me to hire team members that have that kind of let's get everybody all at the table mentality, but that we share that with our clients too. And so really honing in on the importance of that from a internal and external standpoint has made it a really great place for everybody to work, both in terms of the team collaborating together and then the way that we work with our clients.
When I first found the spot, I just volunteered and I had a passion for it and I just kept volunteering more and more and more. No 2 days are the same, and I always live by the quote that there's no such thing as other people's children, because there truly isn't. I don't care if you drive the nicest car, I don't care if you have the nicest cell phone. I'm not here to judge you, I'm just here to help you. I'm always in the mindset that if it was me and our family was struggling, that I hope that there would be somebody, you know, you could be okay right now, but tomorrow you could not be. And I think, you know, that's what builds our community up and builds that camaraderie that, like, one day you may be okay, but the next day you may be asking for help. You may be asking for resources that you don't know exist in our community. And if we didn't have our community, what do we have? We don't have anything. Because we live in this community, because I've made a lot of those connections with our spot families, it's just building those relationships that's like super important to me, and I feel like is the foundation to what I do. Because if you're not building relationships, what do you have? You just have people. You have people without, I always say people without purpose. When I'm passionate about something, I just have that fire in me that I just need to like fix it. And sometimes I don't have the right answers to fix it, but I'm like, I'm not gonna stop until I can fix it. If we get comfortable with only what we are, we'll never be better. The best thing we can do is learn from each other, and that's stepping out of our comfort zone. And if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing.
When you collaborate with people, you create buy-in. You know, there's a sense of connection. People are invested in the outcome because you're working together towards something. Building that relationship, meeting people where they're at, having an understanding of their point of view and how some of their life experiences have led them to that point of view, understanding a problem or whatever goal you're working towards, and figuring out how best that individual can contribute their talents or their gifts to that solution. Being authentic, I think, is definitely something that I've grown into. I think it really is rooted in knowing where I come from, the morals and values that like my parents had instilled in me at a young age, and then ultimately it really comes from my faith journey and where that's taken me. My reliance on the Lord, and continuing to seek progression, that relationship with Him in my faith is really what's grounded me, just staying true to that and being brave enough to speak up for that or to state that, and recognizing it's also not about self-gain. A lot of what I do now is not so much about for myself or propelling myself, but really, again, around building relationships. And when that's your focus, I think it allows you to be authentic, because you want to get to know other people and know them and what makes them unique and authentic, and embracing that, which I think also then gives me the comfort to continue to be who I am.
It's the most incredible community. We have just been blown away by the support the community has just poured out for our business, and that's a big reason why we dedicate a portion of our business to giving back to the community. Our tagline is making the world a better place, and while it is, you know, like a fun little saying, the reason we have that is because we dedicate, you know, our budget to charitable efforts that support the community. We're stronger together, right? A high tide raises all ships. I think it's so important to reach a hand out, that we live in this community together, and when we work together to support each other, it can only be good. Oscar Wilde said something along the lines of, if you decide that what you want to do with your life, you know, whether it's to be a grocer, a baker, you're destined to become that, and that is your punishment. So I think it's the learning, it's the becoming that is the really exciting part of life. You know, when I was very early in my career, I thought you had to sort of choose a thing, and it would only be that thing for your entire career. And I've had a much more diverse and interesting path, which at one point caused some anxiety, but really it was all so that I could learn different aspects to bring me to this place. So yeah, I think the learning constantly is essential, right? I mean, living is a verb.
I started out with a passion for designing buildings from a very young age. My parents used to purchase Lego sets for me that have the instructions for you right there, and I used to throw those away and just create what I wanted to create. Throughout my career, I've always suffered from a little bit of imposter syndrome. I think you'll find a lot of women saying that just because a lot of contractors, a lot of people in the construction industry do not resemble me. There's a statistic showing that 50% of women graduating from architecture school actually graduate from architecture school, and then 50% are male, but only 23% go on to become licensed professionals. It used to be only 18%. It is something that I'd like to change. I'd like to get more women interested in the construction industry. That can only help our profession and grow our profession in a positive direction. I'd like to work to inspire others like me, who might not have seen people like me in the roles that I'm in today, so they can say, hey, she can do it, maybe I can do it. Being part of the design team for the Susan B. Anthony Interpretive Center is a dream of a young architect sitting in her room with her Legos. I couldn't imagine that this would be my future. That portion of the history of this place is inspiring, and really I'm grateful for the history, and I owe a great debt, as many women do, to the things that have happened in this area.
For me, it's always acts of service, just being there for other people in any format possible. Just, you know, even if it's a stranger, I'm just always jumping in where I can, because I think kindness is something the world is lacking more and more every day. And my mom raised my brother and I since we were this little, you know, everything you do it with kindness. My mom has been my backbone since I lost my dad when I was 17, so she's kind of raised my brother and I on her own. And my brother is, I don't know if I'm biased, but the best person I know. So just to know she raised two amazing people, my credit to my mom of who I am, because she's stuck by me. And I didn't make it easy for her by any means throughout years of my life. So the fact that she never gave up on me, just like I would do anything for her. So I am 14 months sober, and that has been a journey that has gotten me in this seat right now. And that takes courage every 24 hours. You know, I wake up and it's 24 hours. And if you had asked me a year ago, like, was that possible for me? I would have been like, absolutely not. In life, you know, we all go through things. Everybody struggles, everybody has a past, everybody has experiences, and it's what you take from that. And I've always been a person that's like, turn that pain into power. I love lighthouses, and I've always said, like, there's humans that are human lighthouses. There's safe places, you know, there are people you can look to when things feel dark, and I just try to be that every day as I walk through, you know, the streets, is just be a source of light for everybody. I think it's just the biggest thing about being a human on this planet is you can take in so many different things every day, and if you're not learning, you're not doing it right. You know, like that is the core foundation of who I am, is to just keep learning. There's always things to learn.
I have a few things that are super near and dear to my heart. My biggest advocacy is for my veterans. How could you not want to support and provide more for somebody who, or for however many people have given so much for us? And then my second is the accessibility to boating. No matter who you are or where you come from. And with that comes in the empowerment of women with the accessibility to boating, upkeeping our waterways. I've created a Women Making Waves platform where I have an really large group of ladies now that has developed over the last 4 or 5 years. They're the first ones to rally around after a huge storm and show up to jump on boats with gear and clean up our waterways. I've got so many that are a part of my veterans group and program as well. So it all kind of ties together, I guess, in one big perfect circle for me. So I'm very fortunate, very, very fortunate to be able to advocate and help and support, but also feel the support and empowerment from my groups as well. When I first came into Sager Marine, out of my 6 hires, only 1 was a girl. I have 60 staff now, 50% of them are female. There were girls that said, well, I never thought I could be out here driving a boat. I never thought that I could captain. To empower and to be a part of their development and to show them they can be leaders, they can do this. It's not just a boys only club, it's an everyone club. That's part of diversifying and creating that accessibility to boating and the marine industry. So I like knowing that I help guide the future generations that are going to shape the accessibility and diversity of boating.